Hello everybody, Bill Platt again, and just a quick reminder, I am on cheap camera right now. I really don't care about video quality at the moment. It's more about the content. But once I get set up in my new office, I will switch over to the HD camera, and we will get video quality up at that point in time. So, in this video, I'd like to talk to you about writer's block. A lot of people say, well, I get writer's block and I don't know what to write. How do I overcome that? So that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. And it really comes down, I write a lot. Probably 10 to 15,000 words a week every week. And with practice, writer's block will be less and less of a problem, but there are some techniques that you can use to overcome writer's block. Writer's block simply is you don't know what you're going to write. You don't really have a comprehension of where you're planning on going with the story you plan on telling. And so, part of it, the thing that takes so long for people to write is most people will write, they'll sit down, they'll do what we call pantsing. They will fly by the seat of their pants. And they will come up with an idea, and then they'll type out 500 words or so, and then they'll hit dead end. They don't know where to go next. So then they will sit and think on it for 30, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour or 2 hours, and then get another idea, and then start running through the process once again. And then they'll get about 500 words in, and then they'll be stuck again. And the number one way to overcome that is to plan out your story from the get-go. And that, for me, I used to stare at a blank page too. And I've been doing this writing thing professionally since 2000. And I'd done it here and there during the 80s and 90s, but I had never, I was doing it part-time when I was bored or whatever, when I had an idea I wanted to write, but I really didn't have the follow-through or the commitment to my task in the 80s and 90s, so I just wrote a few stories here and there, a couple fiction. Then I got into history, writing history, and then that's pretty much where I got to. Then in 1999, I started doing computer training. So I would teach people through the mechanism of a newsletter how to troubleshoot their computers, how to get the most value out of their computer, how to do simple tasks more effectively, so on and so forth. And so that got me up to 1999. I started writing a newsletter once a week, and so that kind of got me into the habit of writing. And then in 2000 was my breakout year. 2000 was the year that I suddenly magically had an audience, a huge audience. And that came to me through the mechanism of writing articles and making them free for publication so long as they carried my author bio with the article. And so I was promoting myself online through the 2000s using the article marketing methodology, which is basically write up an article and then link to your website that you're trying to promote in the author box, and then distribute those out as far and wide as you could, and try to get published on major newsletters, major heavy traffic websites, so on and so forth. And then in 2010 I started making the transition to books. But during the 2000s I got to learn, not only was I writing for myself, but I was writing for other people. And I was doing freelance writing and getting paid to create articles for others. And one of my first disappointments really came in 2002. I had a client who I was working with, and he was paying me to create articles to promote his business. And in June of that year, he contacted me and he says, "Bill, I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to let you go. The my business has literally exploded since I started working with you, and now I no longer have time to manage the work that you're doing for me, so I'm going to let you go." So I went from having that just vaporized about $2,000 a month, poof, it's gone, just like that. And that was my first disappointment, because what it boiled down to is I helped make him a household name through my writing, and his ghostwriting. So his name was in the resource box, in the author box, even though I was actually the writer behind everything he put out there. And it was disappointing because now he's doing really, really well financially, and I'm not. So I helped make a person successful through my writing, and then I lost the job because he was too successful. And it is really annoying, but so I had to go through that experience several times before I finally pulled my head out of my ass, to be perfectly frank with you. But the thing of it was, during the 2000s when I was ghostwriting, and I continued to do it until 2010, and because I wanted that now money. The now money at that time was more important than the future money, because I had a young family at home, two boys, and I needed to maintain that income flow in order to take care of the family. So I worked as a freelance writer during all of the 2000s. And then 2010, I made that switch into writing my own books. But during the process of that, I worked for hundreds of clients, doing article ghostwriting for them, and very literally, I've published over 300, 400 articles in my own name. I published another 600 under pen names just for my business. And then for my clients, I published several thousand more articles. And that was over the course of about 10 years. So over 10 years or so, I wrote over 4,000 articles. And one of the things that kept coming up was I would run into the writer's block thing, because frankly, people were coming to me from all kinds of niches, and so I was doing some stuff for real estate professionals, I was doing stuff for advertising firms, I was doing stuff for financial services, I even did a job for a church, an online church. I was also doing software promotional pieces. I was doing the real estate's the one that really dogged me down. At a certain point, I just said no more real estate, And I also did no more medicine. But I'd done a lot of medicine type work before. I'd done a lot of training type work before, a lot of make money online, stuff like that. How to manage a website, how to promote a website. It's just amazing the variety of information I was able to convey through my writing. And so I ran into writer's block a lot during those times, because when I'm confronted with situations like real estate, and I'm not familiar with real estate, but I had to get educated on it so I could write the articles for my clients. And so whenever I got stumbled on what to write for whichever client happened to be for the day, I found that one of the best techniques that I could use to overcome the writer's block was to go and read other authors. And so when I was doing real estate, I was going through real estate websites and reading article after article after article after article, and then at a certain point, a light bulb would go off. And as soon as that light bulb went off, I understood what I was going, what the story was I was going to tell. And the same thing with some of the, like the white noise guy. Did a whole bunch of articles for him, and I had to go, white noise, it's a theory that if you get kind of natural sounds, or even like the static on the television set, and you play that while you're sleeping, it helps you get better rest. And I never quite bought into the theory behind it, but I was able to write up the articles that helped him sell a lot of product. And basically, the articles I wrote, I was never engaged in the sales side of it. I was engaged in the informational side of it, to create interest, create desire to learn more. So, like I've talked about in several videos before, the AIDA system, attention, interest, desire, and action. First, you grab the attention of the reader, then you create interest by talking about something that reader, kind of a 30,000 foot view of, I'm talking about white noise and you're interested in white noise. So there's the creating interest. Then the creating desire is building a story back into, beyond the creating interest phase, creating a real desire to learn more about the product. And then the action part was, this author was written by so-and-so, which is always my client name, and my client's name, and then a call to action, which is click here to learn more. So I was writing these informational pieces with the express intent of creating interest, creating desire to learn more, and here's a call to action to go visit the client's website to learn more about what the client is offering. So I've been engaged in the AIDA premise for a long, long time. And so over the years, like I said, I would go read. And sometimes I'd read 2 or 3 articles, and then there's my idea. I know. And it's not so much that I'm taking from the other authors, but they're inspiring me to do greater things. And they're giving me ideas. There were times I recall when I was reading something completely unrelated to the article I needed to create, and reading along this story over here, I got my brainstorm idea, and then went and did the article I needed to do. The most fascinating incident I had with that, when I was doing the ghostwriting, some guy contacted me one time, and he was like, I want you to write an article exactly like this guy over here wrote. And he gave me a link, and I went to the article, and it's one that I had ghostwritten for a client. So that was absolutely amazing. How can that even happen, right? So I ended up writing for that guy as well, and he made quite a bit of money off of what I created for him. And, these are just different things that come along. But for years and years and years, I started out writing at $25 per 1,000 words, and then I worked my way up, and I actually got up to $500 per 1,000 words, so 50 cents a word. However, I found my sweet spot around the $75 to $90 per 1,000 words. So that kind of gives you some insight what people will pay for ghostwritten work for freelance writers. And what comes down to is there's got to be a value exchange there. So you're creating content that people, my clients, when I finished writing it, we were able to publish it, and it was used to drive traffic to their offers. So in some cases, I had one guy. He paid me something like $1,000 to write 10 articles. And after the seventh article, he says, don't even worry about those other three. I've made so much money off of this transaction that I don't need you to write the other three. And article number 7 on that deal made him $28,000. And he told me specifically that that's how much he earned from it. And the interesting thing was, that was only 3 days after the article was written. Who knows how much he made long term off of that article? But he felt he got more than his money's worth from what I was able to create on his behalf. So over the years, I've written on a large variety of genres, a large variety of niches, and I was able to create a lot of business for a lot of people. And like I said, my greatest disappointment is that I was writing for $100 an article, and people were making $28,000 off my article. And so I wasn't doing that for myself until 2010. Then I made the transition. Now, I dabbled in books prior to 2010. I think I wrote 5 books between 2004 and 2010. But some of those were just offered for freebies, just to get attention. And so for me, when we come to writer's block, it breaks down that it's not so much that there's something in our brain blocking us. We just haven't got a concept of the idea of the story we want to tell yet. And so, like I said, my greatest tool to overcome writer's block is to go out and read what other writers have written in similar niches as to what I'm trying to write. So, like in the book author stuff, I do a lot of stuff for book authors now. And I will go and read 30 or 40 blogs in the course of a month. And while I'm reading, I'm looking for ideas. And sometimes I get those ideas by reading somebody else's book. It just a light bulb goes off, and there I go. I've got my book. Just on that light bulb moment. And then once I've got that light bulb moment, then I have to sit down and sketch it all out and make myself an outline that I'm going to follow to develop that book. So the thing that slows us down when we're writing is not knowing where we're going with the story. Once you've made that transition, you know where you're going with the story, then it all kind of falls into place and you can write quickly. And somebody once said that, well, Bill can write quickly because Bill is Bill, but not all of us can do the same thing he does. And I will argue against that, because I honestly think every single person within the reach of my voice can do the same thing that I do. I just have more experience doing it. That's all. It's not that I'm any smarter than anybody else. I honestly believe everybody can do this if they're so motivated to do so. And it comes down to knowing where you're going with your story. Whether you're writing 1,000 words or 500 words or 50,000 words, you gotta know where you're going with the story in order to get through that story quickly. And there's a lot of times where I'll have back in the day, my buddy Clinton, he would always say, he would call me on the phone and say, okay, I'd like an article that does this. And then I'd have that light bulb moment while we're having that conversation. And generally he'd give it to me in 2 or 3 sentences. And as soon as he gave me the 2 or 3 sentences, I saw the direction forward. And really for me, it's hearing what Clinton wanted. And then I applied the AIDA principle, attention, interest, desire, and action, to the development of the article. So even though I started out with a 3-sentence thing, then I was able to turn it into 1,000 words. And he was always amazed. He said, I don't understand how you do that, Bill. I give you 3 sentences and you give me exactly what I want. Well, it's not that I have any exceptional talents. I pay attention, and I, if I do have a talent, that talent is that I can foresee how to lay out a story in such a way that I'm creating interest and desire in whatever it is I'm promoting, right? And the same thing applies with a book. I still have to create the interest and desire to get people to buy the book. And then I have to be able to deliver within the book. So you're when you're setting up your book listing, the book description is what sells the book. What's inside your book is irrelevant at that point because they can't see inside your book, so therefore they don't know if they're going to get their money's worth or not. So you have to create the desire in advance through the description, but then you have to deliver on the promise within the book. Okay? I hope that makes sense. But if you fail to deliver within the book, then your refund rates are going to be high on that particular title. And it could be that the book's still a great book, but when you were creating the desire, you led people to think it was one thing when it was in fact another. So it's important to be as accurate as you can, but also focus on creating desire to own the book that you're promoting. So whether we're doing articles, I heard a story about the was it Tim Ferriss? Is that right? The 4-Hour Workweek guy. And when he launched the 4-Hour Workweek, he did it through article marketing. He found out who his target audience was. He found a small segment of his target audience and figured out what are the websites these people go to, and then he just blanketed those particular websites with articles he had written combined with advertising in the sidebar. So once somebody read one of his articles and discovered who he was, then all of a sudden they would see him everywhere because he's in the sidebar advertising. And then they go to their next favorite site, and there he was. He's got another article there and advertising in the sidebar. And then you go to the next site, and same thing. And so he is creating desire with his initial articles, and then he was doing saturation advertising. He had set up where he was getting just an avalanche of interest, and he couldn't be avoided. Once you understood who he was, you saw him everywhere. And so that's how he launched the 4-Hour Workweek. And I thought it was really brilliant the way he did it. And he just used articles. And we could do that as book authors. We can use articles to promote ourselves. It's not like it was in the 2000s, though. In the 2000s, we would write the article and then distribute it through a network, and then 15,000 or whatever webmasters would see the announcement of the article, and a couple dozen or whatever would choose to publish that article. That method doesn't work anymore, but what we can do is go out and find the websites where our target audience hangs out and see if they have a submit your article link somewhere on the website. And a lot of websites do. If you go to, like, Mashable.com is one of the more popular websites on the web. If you go to Mashable.com, they've got, I think it's 19 million monthly readers and 26 million people on social media following them. And between those numbers, they allow hundreds of authors to submit articles each and every week and month. I'm going to put you on pause because I got a train coming. So I'm going to keep going. I guess he parked the train, so I might be putting you on pause again here in a minute. But if you go to Mashable.com and you look for the advertising page, there's a link there for submit your articles. And so you can submit your article to a website like Mashable, and they're going to give you access to 19 million potential readers in the next month. And if some of those are interested in your particular topic, then you'll find lots of readership, which will drive interest in your books. So that's the modern age of article marketing, which is the same model that Ferris used when he did the 4-hour work week. And this is something we could use to promote ourselves online. As writers, we already know what to do to create interest. And if you follow the ADA formula, as I indicated, attention, getting the attention, which with an article, your attention getting is through your article title. And then you're creating interest. Your first paragraph basically notifies the reader that your article is about this topic, and if it's a topic that they're interested in too, then you've got their interest. And then the rest of the article is devoted to creating desire to learn more about your book. And then in your author bio at the end of the article, it's your call to action. Click here to learn more about my book. So it's real simple. It's a simple process, takes a little bit of time, and anybody can do this. But I started this thing with how do you overcome writer's block? And really the best way to overcome writer's block is to read. And read a diversity of people with a diversity of opinion. And I even get a lot of ideas now by watching YouTube, to be honest with you. Watching YouTube or visiting blogs, reading articles by other authors, visiting Facebook groups where other authors are talking. And that's where a lot of my ideas come from for the content that I create, the books that I write, the emails that I write, and the videos that I shoot. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. If you would like to be notified of future videos I make available, use the subscribe button down below, and YouTube will let you know when I have new videos available. If you'd like to be on my mailing list, just go to BillPlattAuthors.com, and you can sign up for my mailing list there. And I do send out typically daily emails, and within those emails I do have a lot of free training available to you. So check it out, and if you like this video, be sure to share it with your friends. Thank you very much.